Roulette, and today I'm going to be talking to Blanche Highfield. It's May 7th, 2013, and we are at the Cass County Historical Society. I've known Blanche for a long time. I taught her children at Columbian when I came here, and Blanche and I traveled back and forth to Peru a couple of different summers, I think, for summer school. Blanche was born in Ceresco. Is that right? On a farm near Ceresco. Okay. In 1917. You're the same age as my mother. Would have been. And then she moved here to Plattsmouth to start teaching, and you think it was about age 19, is that right?
19.
Okay. Last night you told me some stories about when you first came to teach. Can you share those with us?
Well, first I got to tell you, I came to this town. I want to tell you how I got to.
Okay, all right.
I joined an agency in Lincoln, and I had to give my first month's paycheck back to them, and they would find me a job. Well, they called me on the telephone at Ceresco, Nebraska, and my dad answered the telephone. I answered the telephone, and they said there's a vacancy in Plattsmouth, Nebraska. And my dad said, I said, all right. He said, I played checkers. My dad was a checker player at the Lincoln YMCA. He played checkers with the superintendent of Plattsmouth at the YMCA, and he called this man. He said, sure, we'll bring her right down. Well, my dad was a school teacher, and he had taught for many years, and he had a university degree, and he knew the superintendent quite well because they had played checkers together. So when we got to Plattsmouth, we parked down on the main street, and my dad says, I won't climb that hill. I will walk the hill, up the hill, because his car wouldn't climb that hill. And so he climbed the hill. We got in there at the superintendent's office, and my dad and the superintendent, they took over the conversation and talked checkers in front of me. And they said, well, now let's talk to your daughter. So he talked to me, and he said, how much high school, did you graduate from high school? Yes. How much college have you had? I had 2 years of college. And do you like children? Yes, yes. Okay. Then I'll tell you what you have to do. You have to go downtown, and you've got to meet every single one of the 6 board members and talk to them. And you have to go down to talk to Mr. Knorr and Mr. Bush and Mr. Caldwell. You have to talk to them. And as you talk to them, they will call back and say, hire her or fire. No, don't hire her. And so after I met the 6 school board members, and every one of them, my dad went with me. He knew several of them. He had gone to college with some of them. He was a college graduate. And he knew them. So when I come back to the office, the superintendent said, sign this contract quickly, because we want to keep you. And I said, all right. And I said, where are you going to put me? And he said, we'll talk about that later. So then I went home, and I knew that I had a job. And so I knew one person in Plattsmouth, and that was Reverend and Mrs. The Methodist minister. They had been in Ceresco, and so they said I could stay with them. And they had 2 other, we had kept 3 teachers. And Mr. and Mrs. Lawson were very kind and good to me, and they took me in, and so then I was a good Methodist, and everything worked out fine for me there. So I got hired, and then after I went, I knew one person in this town. She was a teacher that I had gone to summer school with, and she met me, and we visited with each other. Now they had rules in Plattsmouth. You are to never, when I got my contract, I was never to go into any taverns. I was to attend church 3 Sundays out of the month. I was to attend to every meeting that the church, that different organizations had in town here. So I became very active in the community, and I lived in the Methodist parsonage, and the principal said, I don't know where to put you. He said, all the places have been taken. I'm going to have to put you in First Ward. Now, First Ward is kind of the elite of the town, and you've got to be very careful what you say and what you do in First Ward, because this is the rough part of the richer part of the town.
Where was the Methodist parsonage? Over here, right now. Okay, all right.
So my dad said to me, now Blanche, when you start walking, speak to everybody you know. Whether you know them or not, you speak to them. So as I would start out, I would speak to the oil man, I would speak to Mr. Crable, the jewelry man, and I would speak to everybody. When I got up towards my schoolhouse where I was going to teach, the Gearing sisters were out digging the dandelions. I would holler, "Good morning, sisters." They would holler, "Good morning, little school teacher." Then I kept on going until I met, and I spoke to everybody I met, and I became very friendly. But then I said to the superintendent, "I've got to meet my mothers. I've got to know all my mothers." So he said, "Well, that's strange." So I put in about 5 chairs, and I had the children line the chairs up, and I appointed a girl to be the one that would open the door and take their name. And in 1 week, I had met all my parents. They had come in and met me, and then they invited me to come to their place for supper. And I went to their place for supper, and Mrs. Burke played the piano, and she said, "I do not have entertain people. I'll play the piano for you this year for school, and I'll take you to the picture show in Orphan, Nebraska." So then I was treated royally, and then I met all my parents, and the children were delightful. There were 31 of them. Well,
That's a big class.
say,
What
Blanche-
grade was it?
first, second, and third.
First, second, third, okay.
And they brought their guns and their holsters, and then they hollered, "I shot him, but he won't lay down dead, Mrs. Highfield." And I said, "No more guns, no more guns." And so then we turned this thing into they had to march. We had people, Phillipsburg came in, then we marched. Then I told the superintendent, "I have to go down to the library. Every month the children have got to walk down to the library and get library books. They're all going to read books." And so we read books, and then she sat down and told them stories.
Now, was the schoolhouse the one that's there now?
No, it's gone.
It's gone. And
My
they
mother
built a
came
new
and
one.
put curtains up the windows, and my dad came and they fixed it up real pretty. And
Was it kind of a one-room
One
school?
room. And we had high school boys that came in to do the janitor work, and they started flirting with me. And I said to the superintendent, "I think I'll do my own janitor work." And he said, "Oh, no, that's not right. You can't do the janitor work." I said, "I did it in the country school." He said, "No, but you can't do that. You have to be a lady." So, okay, all right, I'll be a lady, and I'll let somebody do it. Then I had some young boys that did the janitor work, and so they did the janitor work, and then but the main thing I did, I got to know my mothers and my dads, and they came in, and they were very, very good and dear to me. And they found out that I liked to, I took a lot of square dancing when I was at the university. So I told the children that we were going to square dance. And the mothers came in and made little uniforms for the children. The boys had blue jeans, and the girls had little denim skirts, and they had little red kerchiefs on there. And we were invited to many places to do square dancing with that group.
Then you met your husband, Bill, here in Plattsmouth, is that right?
I had something wrong with the schoolhouse. I think the light was out or something, and he came and met me. And then I met him, and then I started dating Bill.
Bill.
And he could roller skate very well, but I couldn't roller skate. So I held on real tightly to him, and he fell in love with me, and I fell in love with him. So we got married. I taught school then, and on February the 8th, I said to the superintendent, I had taught 1 year, and then the second year, "I'm going to get married to Bill Highfield." He said, "You know, if you get married, you no longer have a job. We do not have any married teachers." And I said to him, "That's perfectly fine. I could teach school someplace else. I don't have to teach here in Plattsmouth. I know places, that country schools, that I can go back to country school teaching." "No, we're going to wait and we're going to change the rules. From now on, every married teacher can teach in Plattsmouth."
That was good. That was
yeah.
So you were kind of instrumental in getting that
Well,
rule
I was
changed
kind
then.
of mouthy to him. And he was
So
good.
then how, did you quit teaching when you had a family though?
Well, then I went down to Florida, and I got pregnant, and I came back, and then I stopped teaching for 4 years, 5 years, because when the children were all in school, well, I had one baby and went to Florida with that baby. So I had 4 children. And altogether I had 5 children, and then I went back to school with you, didn't I?
Yes, we went back and forth to Peru, and that would have been in the 60s, 62, 63,
Well,
around there.
let's see. And then I got hired to teach in Winterstein School. And I loved Winterstein School. We gave a program. We had a lovely time. Then they asked me if I would teach special education. I taught that 1 year. Then I got out of that, and I went to teaching in, I went to Central Building then, and I taught in Central then, until then I moved back to the Columbian School.
Okay, and what grade did you teach at Central?
I had third grade. I
Third
had large class.
Okay,
Large
and
class.
at Columbia you
I
had
had third grade. yeah.
third grade there. Okay.
But I had been in every one of the schools. I had been in First Ward and Winterstein and Columbia and back to Central.
Okay.
I had a lovely time. And I really and truly liked my parents. I just love my parents. I told the parents they had to come in, and we had lovely parent-teacher conferences. The parents would come in and visit school a lot. They would, you too, honey.
What kinds of games and music did you do with the kids?
Well, I wanted to be the music teacher before I ever started out. So I took a lot of music, and I took a lot of square dancing and a lot of folk dancing. And when I got those children and they couldn't go out for winter, I'd tell them to put the chairs aside and go square dance. And I taught them how to square dance. And I loved singing, and we would do an awful lot of singing before the day started. I had a good time.
What are some of the businesses that you remember being here in Plattsmouth when you first came here?
Well, we were told when I signed my contract, you will buy all your clothes in Plattsmouth, you will buy your groceries in Plattsmouth, and you will participate in the Chamber of Commerce. You will go to those. And you have to be active in the community. And you have to attend church 3 Sundays out of the Sunday.
Was the Chamber the only organization you belonged to, or were there others that you?
I belonged to 2 other organizations, but I don't remember what they were. But I was very active. The teachers were very well attended to all these different things.
Activities.
Very activities. And we had.
So this would, if you were born in 17 and you came here when you were about 20, you would have come here in the late 30s then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I stopped to have the children. Then when I got through with teaching, they gave me a farewell party. And Bev Harder, what was her name out there?
Harder?
Hart. She said, "Now Blanche, they need someone to teach GED. And would you come and be a GED teacher and help people get their diplomas?" So Alice Green and I started the program for GED. And I'm still teaching that.
You're still teaching GED?
Monday and Tuesdays on mornings. And I love that. But it's not, I don't need any pay for that. That's missionary work.
Okay.
Because that's helping people get their diploma and so they can get a better job.
What do you remember about life here in Plattsmouth, like during World War II? Were things a lot different than?
No, World War II was very strange. I was just First Ward, and they would ring the bell, they would sound the alarm, and every one of the children had to get down and crawl behind the piano and sit on the floor, because that was for blackout.
Okay.
And then we would, they would come in and check our rooms a lot for, But we had a lovely, lovely First Ward group of parents, and we had, everywhere I have taught, I have never had any trouble. I love my parents.
What about your own family, your children?
Okay, now that's a different story. Billy was the oldest, and he joined the service. And Terry joined the service. They graduated from Plattsmouth High School. All of them had graduated. And the third one, he graduated. The third one, he graduated, and he became a Baptist minister. And he came to me and said, "Mom, I'm going to leave the Methodist Church to become a Baptist." And I said, "That's perfectly fine. We're under the same God. That's just perfectly fine. That'd be good." And he still is a minister.
And he lives in Tennessee?
Tennessee, down in Tennessee. And the oldest son, he was a railroad engineer, and he died. He had cancer and died. The second one, he's in Oklahoma City, and he's doing pretty well. And then the third one, he's down in Texas, and the other one's in Tennessee. So they're all gone.
There's none of them that live around here.
No.
How about, did you have brothers and sisters?
I came from a large family of 5 girls and 1 boy, and I had 3 sisters, no, 2 sisters and a brother, 1 little brother that died. And my dad said we had lived on a farm in Stresco, and we had to raise a lot of cucumbers and sell a lot of produce and things. And